Bro, I'm telling you, you have to listen to this podcast. It is a masterpiece. So first of all, Paul Rosali is the guest on Diary of a CEO. And if you don't know Diary of a CEO, it's one of the biggest podcasts out there. Stephen Bartlett is the host, and he is a British bloke who is an entrepreneur, investor in a lot of companies, and very successful. He's also a really cool person, like just genuinely. He asked all the questions you would want to ask. He has like no ego. He's very humble. He produces excellence basically wherever he goes, from what I can see. He's also an investor in Ketone IQ, just throwing it out there. I'm a little biased. I like Steven over the hundreds of hours I've listened to him talk. He seems like a great person. Now, Paul Rosali is the guest, and this dude is just built different. He's first off an amazing storyteller. Like, as someone who's learning how to speak better, right away I was very impressed with how his cadence of speech is, the way he sets the tone, he sets the scene. He knows how to storytell, and it seems so effortless on his end. It's very impressive. And the stories that he does have to tell are just, you can't help but get wrapped up into him. He's really good at using his facial expressions and hands to reenact the scenes, so you feel like you're actually in the rainforest with him, which is what Paul does. He actually spends weeks to months at a time inside the Amazon rainforest. So very unique lifestyle. The guy has gotten so much experience, so much expertise that you and I will never know what it's even like. And so he does a great job of really bringing you into the jungle with him, so then you can get a taste of what it's like. And honestly, the way I look at the world is not going to be the same after this.
The storm was so bad that we couldn't see anything. We couldn't see the side of the river, and because of the light igniting the raindrops, you can't even see what's in front of you.
So part of how Paul is a master storyteller is this clip where Stephen asked him a direct question, and Paul knows what he's really asking and decides to take it to a even better way of presenting that information. Check it out.
When did you meet them for the first time?
So in order to explain how we met them, we should probably explain where we got to in how the 18-year-old researcher became the director of a major organization. But
please.
And from what I can tell, everything about Paul is genuine. You know, we all kind of have an eye for if someone's BSing us or not. From what I can tell, the dude's genuine. He lives an awesome life, and he really wants to make an impact in the world. And for someone who lives in the jungle, I am super impressed with how he presents himself and tells these stories. He's also like ripped, dude. Like, are you lifting logs? What are you doing, bro? And I'm pretty sure he was on Joe Rogan a few years ago. And that's where I first found out about him, and it was also a fantastic podcast. When I was listening through this, there was literally a story he tells that right when I was getting to the wrap up, the end of the story, I verbally out loud said, wow, what a great story. I don't want to give away which one it was. You have to watch the episode to find out, but it just connects with you so well. It connects with you so well, in fact, that after listening to this whole podcast, I really wanted to go reconnect with my own local forestry. He's in a rainforest. I don't have that, but in Florida we have some beautiful pine tree areas. So today I just finished up walking around in the forest just to take in the beauty of what's around us. Paul makes a great point that our day-to-day life is so far pulled away from the reality of where we came from. We all link back to caveman days, but these tribes that he meets are really living it. I wanted to go back and tune into the nature and see what it's really like. And you know, it's so funny. We ran into a lot of people while we're out there, and everybody's in a good mood. When have you been on a trail and been like, that guy was really mad? Like, it doesn't happen. When you pass people, everyone's so friendly. How's your day? Beautiful day we're having. Did you see this over here? Like, I think that tells you we should be out in nature more. And I think Paul would agree. I've got to tell you, there's a moment in this episode that genuinely stopped me in my tracks. Paul describes encountering a truly uncontacted tribe. These people have just been in the Amazon for thousands of years without any contact with how the rest of us are living.
And you're part of this family, and you're part of this story, and we need you here for this. But the tribes are about to come out of the forest.
And it's very interesting because you get to see how they move, how they talk, what they look at, what they look like. You can see how alert they are, and you get to see how tense the whole moment is. It's very good. And I'm not going to show it here because it deserves to be seen in its own context. But watching that moment made me realize how far away we are from how humans have lived for most all of our existence. So the core story that Paul is here to tell the world is that the Amazon rainforest is being burned, and it's being cut down by loggers. It's also being used for narco traffickers, and it's become a very dangerous place, and it's sad to see it all just being decimated. All the wildlife, all the indigenous tribes, and it's all just being taken away. So he's here to bring awareness to it, and then also his company, Jungle Keepers, is doing a great job of fixing the problem. It really is the wild, wild west out there. There are no rules, there are no laws. It's just the way of the land and the way that those people operate. There's no safety nets. Everything is trying to kill you. The rule of the land is whoever has the upper hand has the power and is in control. And that can switch in a moment's notice. So Paul and his businessmen and ex-indigenous tribesman, JJ, have been turning enemies into allies by hiring the loggers and the other people that have been burning the forest and making them conservationists, essentially. So he's trying to raise funds by going on these podcast episodes and getting awareness and sending you towards a book that he's recently written and his website. So you can support their mission financially. And I mean, to express how differently these people live from the way we do, here's this clip of a boy who was found about 8 years old, who was raised by the truly in the jungle tribe, the uncontacted tribe, was raised then by an indigenous tribe. And then a few years after, they asked him, hey, so what was it like growing up with that tribe? And this is his reaction. Watch.
But it was a guarded, I don't remember. No. Access denied.
So Paul's just a remarkable human. Imagine that you almost died from something and then you just like accepted that and devoted it as part of your life. That's what he did here. One day, him and his friends decided to try to grab this 12-foot anaconda, and it doesn't go well. And it's constricting him. He's genuinely about to pass out from how hard it's like constricting around his neck. If it weren't for his friends there, he would have been killed by this anaconda. If you ever went through a traumatic experience like that in your own life, like, do you think you're gonna like snakes again? Do you think you're really gonna wanna go back out in the jungle? Like, a lot of people would be like, that's a wrap, I'm out of here. Never coming back. So instead, he doubles down and just becomes even more of a conservationist and really loves the beauty and the majesty and the power of these animals. He's approached by Discovery Channel, and they kind of do this silly PR thing. He has an idea and thinks he knows what they're gonna do with it. And unfortunately, they pull the rug out from under him at the end, and all the show really comes out is this goofy thing where they put him in some terrible suit and try to get him eaten alive by an even bigger snake. Now, would you put yourself in that position after literally almost being eaten alive by a real snake? Probably not. But that's how much he cares about this mission. And it just goes to show how bad working for the big TV can be. And you can tell he really does understand how these animals think. As a personal snake owner, all mine wants to do is hide. And it was so funny to hear Paul say that these wild snakes just want to do the same thing, even though they're giants out there and top of the food chain. And he says that most snakes don't want to be bothered. They just want to live their little existence, eat something, and then go back and hide where it's safe. And what's really funny is even after explaining all that, there's this hilarious clip where Steven is petrified of, to be fair, a giant snake that's on the desk, and Paul is trying to get Steven to pet it and pick it up, and Steven is not exactly thrilled.
Can she bite?
100%. I mean, she has to be able to latch on to her prey, right? So
And what's funny, as a snake owner, I can tell the snake is just kind of checking out the space. There's really no danger there, the way that its body positioning is. But Steven doesn't understand and know all that, so he's thinking this thing's about to eat me at any moment. And so Paul handles it very well. You can tell he's very experienced with handling snakes and knows how to push their buttons, and he does.
See, now what I'm doing is I'm massaging the tail because I know that she's going to go for you. Good girl. Yeah, right at him. Right at him.
Clearly, Steven's not a big snake guy, but he does come around. He admires the strength and the beauty of these animals. They really do get a bad rep. It's a weird pet, though, I will say. They don't like to be pet. Like, what do you even, like, I wrap mine around my neck and I think he's beautiful, but beyond that, like, what am I supposed to do with it? So despite this guy being like the jungle master, he's also like really philosophical and deep. So Paul becomes very relatable when he says that he is just some guy from the Bronx who has no anthropology, no certifications, no degrees. He just started living in the jungle and learning the ways and interfacing with indigenous people and seeing what they know.
He said, you're our guest, you come with us. And so there I was going up the river into parts of the world that have yet to be named, into the wildest places in the Amazon rainforest.
And yet, look at him. Now he's running a company that is saving hundreds of thousands of acres of the rainforest. Started with just some guy in the jungle with really no purpose or aim, is now making a genuine change in the world and impacting many, many lives. And if that isn't inspiring for your own sake, where you think you have this big dream, but you're like, I don't have the degree. Oh, I don't have the experience or the certification, or I'm just one person. How can I make a difference? Paul proves that you can. And that's really inspiring, to be honest. And if your dream is something that does require a degree, I don't know how you get around that, but a lot of us just need that push to just start and try. He just started doing it and got around the right people, and look what happened. So even after saying anybody can do basically anything, he is making it relatable and real, where he's like, it wasn't easy. It didn't happen overnight. It was a grind. And if you're not all in, you're not going to make it. And so he argues that just betting the house is part of the game. And sometimes you may not even know where you're going. You just start kind of doing the actions and things that you're interested in, and the path may present itself. Slowly but surely, you'll start building that irrefutable proof. You'll believe in yourself more, and you'll continue on in that path. And maybe you find exactly what you're meant to do in this world, which is my second chef kiss of the video. And for his own part, Stephen agrees wholeheartedly with what Paul says here, because he's also been through a hard journey and has come out the other side with a lot of success. But he completely relates to that struggle, that grind, those hard days, hard hours, long days that everybody needs to go through in order to get that success. And then everyone can say, oh, it must have been nice. Looks so easy. Which also keeps it very relatable for somebody like me who has a giant dream of what I want to do, but am at the starting point. And so for both of these guys who have made it or are making a big impact to say, it's hard. It was hard for me. It was hard for all my friends I know who have made it. It's like, oh, okay, so it's just supposed to be hard. Okay, then, I know what I signed up for. Cool, thank you for preparing me for that. So to keep things deep, Paul pulls out another one out of his bag that the third chef's kiss of this whole episode. And I listen to a lot of podcast episodes. This one is just different. I'm not BSing, it genuinely is. So especially right now, the world is just in turmoil. We've got Epstein files, we've got wars going on, we've got Trump doing whatever the heck he's doing. There's Greenland, I mean, everywhere you look, it can be complete destruction. There's ice stuff going on. I mean, it is wild out there, which is a perfect time for a quote about being overwhelmed. So Paul says he saw a meme that said, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the stresses of the world, go outside and look at the birds and reframe the situation to recognize you are as meaningless as these birds. All these big things, all these events that are causing so much stress and you feel so much emotion about, it really is meaningless. It's not that big of a deal, essentially. And with that can come a lot of freedom and a lot of pressure taken off, essentially, to recognize, like, I don't have to have all the answers. And it feels overwhelming, but also if I just let all that go and just exist in this world, that's very light. It's not so heavy anymore. So a lot of times we just overthink things and make them bigger deals than they really need to be. Just to recognize that you are just as meaningless as a sparrow is kind of freeing. But then he argues the exact opposite and flips the script. By leaning on his experience in the rainforest, he knows that every single part of the ecosystem has a role, and without one, the whole thing could collapse. So he thinks it's bullshit that you could be as meaningless as a sparrow, because the sparrow is very key to what's going on around the whole ecosystem. And that shows a truer beauty that I really get a lot of hope from. It lets you see the bigger picture and recognize that you do play an important part in it. No one is meaningless. And I really appreciate his perspective here. Like I said, he's deep. You think you know where this is gonna go. Oh, okay, it's not a big deal, yada yada. And then he's like, F that. You matter. You're very important. You're necessary to this whole thing. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. So I loved his metaphor here. To be fair, I should warn you, when you do go watch this episode, the uncontacted tribe is not wearing much at all. Just the tip, essentially. Just the tip is covered. You'll see. You'll see partially why I'm blurring it, also partially so you'll actually go watch it because you need to. So if you're not great with full frontal nudity, heads up.
And this is what I was talking about, where they are moving across the beach, and you can see the sort of the posture they're using there. I mean, they have their bows and arrows in hand, and then they showed up and see they're pointing.
So if it isn't obvious, I highly encourage you to listen to this episode. The link is down in the bio for YouTube and Spotify if you have it. And also let me know, like, do you like these podcast episodes? I think they're cool. I can listen to a lot of podcasts that a lot of us don't get to, and then succinctly share which ones are actually worth listening to, and here's the highlights on them. So if you like this, let me know. And as always, thanks for watching, and stay wild.